it's rush hour in Indianapolis. Not the Friday afternoon jam from office to home, but from the Brickyard, Indianapolis Motor Speedway, where throngs watched NASCAR Nextel Cup Series qualifying earlier today, about 15 miles to the west to Indianapolis Raceway Park. Another huge crowd is gathering to see the heated action that August short track racing can bring. The drivers are ready, the lights are on, and the sparks are about to fly. It's August in Indianapolis, racing capital of the world, when the city welcomes the stock car crowd to town. Tomorrow, NASCAR Nextel Cup drivers take to the famed Brickyard, but tonight, just across town, Saturday night short track racing. You can feel it in the air as the racers of NASCAR's Busch Series invade IRP. I can feel it in the air. TNT Sports welcomes you to Claremont, Indiana for the 24th renewal of the NASCAR Busch Series Summer Highlight, 200 laps of racing at Indianapolis Raceway Park. The fans turn out here because the racing's always entertaining. The tight confines of this 6/10 mile keep the action close. The fans are right on top of that action. With flat corners that are tricky to tame, sometimes to make the winning pass, the driver here needs to lean on 8 tires. The 4 on his car and the 4 on the car to his outside. To pit road, here's Ralph Shaheen.
Alan, one of the really unique things and really cool things about IRP is the fans get to get right up close to the cars and the drivers just before we go green. In fact, Reed Sorensen was just over here signing autographs. Why do they want his? Because for the second time this season, he's on the pole. Congratulations on that, Reed. Now, I had the chance to ride with you and David Stremme around the track, and you guys were discussing strategy for turn 1. What's the game plan between you and your front row partner?
Well, David knows that we're trying to run for points here, and he's doing the same thing. So his car might be a little bit better than mine on old tires. So he's going to try to let me get 5 points out of the deal. And I told him if he's knocking on my door, I'll let him go. So I hope David and I don't get in any kind of situation where we're teammates. So that'd be kind of crazy. But David and I get along really well, and it's pretty cool being on the front row together. And I asked him whether he thought I should take the outside or inside. I don't know if that was a good idea, but he's usually pretty honest with me. So hopefully we can get our 5 points and then have a good run the rest of the night.
That's lap 1. Lap 2, it's every man for himself, Lindsay.
Thanks, Ralph. The first place battle in this series is a tight one. Only 70 points separate Clint Boyer from points leader Martin Truex Jr. Tonight, they qualified 8th and 9th respectively. Clint, I want to start with you. You said this isn't your favorite track. How are you going to get it done tonight?
Hopefully we'll do that. But it's a tough racetrack. It's hard to pass on. Luckily, we are starting up front a little bit. We struggled here last year, but I learned a lot. So just got to keep the fenders on this AC Delco Chevrolet and have some fun. So, that's our game plan. Hopefully, we was real loose in qualifying, so it should pay off. Hopefully, the track's going to tighten up. Talking to the drivers and driver intros, I think that's what everybody's anticipating. So, hopefully, plan works.
And we'll walk next door to the man who starts 9th tonight, Martin Truex Jr. Martin, you've been splitting time between here and over at Indy, so tonight you finally get to focus on a win here.
Yeah, I hope so. The car wasn't as good as I would have liked it to be in practice this afternoon, and guys been working real hard. We made some changes for qualifying, helped it. Hopefully the weather helps us a little bit. I'm banking on that. So I don't know. We'll see when we get our best Pro Chevrolet up front. Hopefully we'll be, we just need to be around at the end.
And it's a hot night for everybody down here. Ralph?
Well, Lindsay, Tony Stewart's in a really good mood. He's over here trying to mess up my hair, but the only good thing, there you go again. Yeah, but you know what?
Like a rat on acid or something now?
Yeah, but you know what? At least mine's just natural color. What is this up here? What do you call that?
Well, see, I've got a miniature Australian Shepherd that Patty and Kyle Petty got me, and it's kind of got this light color, and she's got dark color, and then she's got some gray. So, hairdresser in Charlotte that did that to me. So, you'll have to take it up with her. She lives pretty close to you. She probably does your hair too.
This place is so tough when it comes to changing track conditions weather-wise. What can we expect out of it tonight? You won a lot of races here.
Yeah, we had Dennis Setzer in the car this morning after he ran the truck race last night, and he's got us pretty loose right now, and he said that's what helped him last night be really good. So, you know, with the clouds coming in, it's already getting really cool out here. So the surface temp's cooling off from when we qualified. Not a bad qualifying run for us. We just got to be a little tighter. But the good thing is I think as the race goes on, our car's just going to keep getting better and better, and I think a lot of guys are probably going to be fighting being tight. So hopefully we'll be in good shape.
He's in a good mood and feeling racy, Alan.
And Tony Stewart going to come from midfield in 17th position. 43 drivers ready to go. The opening ceremony and green flag coming up from Indianapolis Raceway Park. Every year since 1982, the NASCAR Busch Series has run 200 laps at this Indianapolis Raceway Park short track. Before tonight's event gets started, we join the pre-race ceremony.
Are presenting our colors. And part of the show, indeed, is Reverend Mark Wright from Hazendale Christian Church for the invocation.
Let's pray together, my friends. Our dear Heavenly Father, Lord, we thank you for a great evening and this great opportunity to be here at the Kroger 200. Lord, we pause to remember our young men and women who are in the military serving our country. Watch over them as they are in harm's way. And Lord, we pray for all the loved ones of these drivers. Bring them your great calm as they get to racing tonight. Be with the drivers as they compete and give them a steady hand. And Lord, your word says, make a joyful noise unto the Lord. May the sound of these engines and the trading of paint and the roar of this great crowd be a joyful noise to you. And Father, finally, let these good old boys get it on. In Jesus' name I pray, amen.
And ladies and gentlemen, to sing our national anthem, please welcome Crystal Lynn.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleam, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets regular, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, St. John's, that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave.
And the F-18 Super Herder from Naval Air Station Oceana.
Well, the fans are ready. The crews with their final huddles. Time for the drivers to buckle in. When we come back, the command to start engines and the green flag for tonight's NASCAR Busch Series race at Indianapolis Raceway Park.
That Martin Truex got a problem. I saw him dive to the inside. He's got everybody passing him now.
Well, new leaders Martin Truex Jr. out first on the pit stops, was a lap down earlier. Second unscheduled green flag pit stop of the race for the championship leading team. The 19-year-old from Forest Park, Georgia, takes his second NASCAR Busch Series win. Sorensen winning the Wallace family tribute.
A look at the ups and downs of last Saturday night's NASCAR Busch Series race that resulted in championship leader Martin Truex Jr. basically losing half of his point lead. It was 142 points going into the St. Louis race. Now Clint Bowyer just 70 behind. Reed Sorensen a close third. And we talked already with all three, all starting near the front of the pack tonight with Sorensen on pole. And we welcome you to TNT's coverage of tonight's NASCAR Busch Series race from Indianapolis Raceway Park. Alan Bestwick here with Benny Parsons, and BP and I have been talking back and forth about this race and what we were looking for tonight. And Benny, you think tires versus track position is going to be the big deal?
Track position is going to be king. We talked to Clint Boyer just a moment ago. He said it's difficult to pass here. It is difficult to pass. These guys get a chance to pit. They're just going to bypass pit road, stay out on the racetrack. They'll pit one time tonight and one time only. They'll not be back in that second time, because if they do, they'll just not be able to work their way back to the front.
I know some crew chiefs I talked to are going to try and pit twice tonight. We'll see how it works out. The other thing we're thinking about, the 3 Ps: passing, patience, and paybacks.
See, that's the problem. Those guys that pit twice, they'll have to start so far back that when they try to fight their way through, they got to run over some people to do it, and there will be paybacks from those guys they run over trying to get to the front.
Yeah, we may see a few tempers boiling over by the end of the night. Not unusual for one of these short track races here at IRP. The drivers are all buckled in now. Down trackside, the various dignitaries are gathering by the start-finish line, ready to utter those famous words that all these fans have been waiting hours to hear.
Right there on the big screen.
They came up with this elaborate thing here. They wanted the kids from the Children's Hospital to give the command to start engines, but none of the drivers heard it. You heard it at home. Now they've got the word. The best made plans, huh?
They often go astray.
Yeah. Stacy Compton ready. And these fans ready too.
I'm interested. Reed Sorensen talked about, he and Strimmy talking about which side should he start the race, on the outside or inside, the traditional spot that the pole sitter would start.
Yeah.
I'm interested to see which one he chooses. Normally, the fastest qualifier here will start on the outside, because that is the preferred line.
And it is a fairly well-known but often rarely employed rule in the book that the pole sitter does have the option. Let's take a look at the starting lineup for tonight's race. Sorensen on pole, whether he starts inside or outside to be seen here momentarily. Robert Presley returned to the Busch Series in a great qualifying run.
Outside of row 2 alongside Hornaday in the 32 car. And how about Tracy Hines, infrequent driver, back in row 3 alongside Jason Keller.
Hines driving for Ray Ebernham here tonight. There are your championship first and second place drivers. Truex there in row 5 and Boyer in row 4.
How about Aaron Pike outside of row 10? Kenny Wallace with his new sponsor on his car in row 6.
Pike, one of those guys that has a lot of laps in open wheel racing on this racetrack, so pretty comfortable for him. Tony Stewart, row 9. Another guy, a lot of laps here.
My guess is Tony Stewart will be going towards the front. J.J. Yeley, Justin Labonte. See Mike Wallace, Tim Sauter on the outside of row 12.
Mike driving for Brother Rusty's team here in IRP tonight. Joe Kaufman, new name to the series, 19 years old. You'll hear more about him later on in the night, but another one of these kids looks barely old enough to shave.
First NASCAR Busch Series start.
Yeah.
Steve Grissom, Boston Reed, one of the Hendrick drivers, back in row 15.
There's Carl Edwards. Didn't make out very well over at the Brickyard with his qualifying for tomorrow's All-State 400 at the Brickyard. Then came over here and drew an early number and didn't fare as well in the heat of the afternoon qualifying here either.
Starting 31st with Carl Edwards, and might be a guy that has to have some patience as he tries to work his way toward the front.
His crew chief Brad Parrish never been shy with the strategy gambits either, huh?
No. Paul Wolf, Kevin Hamlin, one of the Ganassi development drivers, back in row 19.
Tyler Walker in row 20 blew the engine on his second qualifying lap. They had about an hour and 45 minutes to race time. They started taking the engine out of the car, got it put back together. The car's on the grid in time. He's ready to go.
And 43rd spot, Brian Tyler out of Michigan.
Former couple-time USAC National Sprint Car Champion. As always, more cars here than spots in the field can be accommodated, so there are the list of those who failed to qualify. I told you about Tyler Walker's problems with the engine change. He'll go to the back, and A.J. Fike's team made an unapproved post-impound adjustment.
So he had to go from 41st to 42nd.
Yeah, big loss there,
yes.
Right? I think I'd do that too. rolling off on the pace laps, but they don't take long on this little track. So let's get right to pit road and get our final stories before the green flag. First to Ralph Sheheen.
Well, Alan, I talked to David Stremme just moments ago before the start of this race, and he will start on the outside as it turns out now. In row number 1, Reed Sorensen will move to the bottom. And David said this is the best short track car I've ever had. It was built brand new for the race in Milwaukee. They also ran it at Pikes Peak and Gateway. And he really feels this car is like a good pair of shoes. He's so comfortable with it. He says, I can win just about anywhere. He almost did that at Gateway a week ago. Maybe he'll do it here tonight. Lindsay?
Thank you, Ralph. I'm in the number 32 pit stall of Ron Hornaday Jr. You can see that his crew is working hard here because Ron has decided he's going for a little triple crown of his own. Last night, he came in 3rd at the truck race. Tonight, he starts 3rd here in the Busch Series. And he says that if he could finish at least 3rd tonight, he would be happy. He also told me that last night he learned plenty of good secrets about what kind of adjustments he thinks he might need to make to win here.
Lindsay, thanks. So we get a couple of more pace laps before we go. VP, one of the tricks to this racetrack, you see how flat those corners are. The fast lane. The fast lane is up by the outside wall.
That's right.
And so the guys on the bottom have some tough conditions there.
And so far, we've seen the 41 car on the inside. Sorensen seems to have chosen the inside to start this race. And you're right, when he goes down in turn 1 with too much speed, he'll carry up and slide into the side of the 14.
If you want to try and pass somebody, you got to crank the car down onto the flatter part of the racetrack. That's harder on the tires. You can only do that for so many laps in a row. And the other thing is you might have to lean on that guy outside of you to keep from piling up into the wall when you head into the corner.
You said at the very top of the show, sparks will fly.
Yeah.
We will see some sparks flying.
Yes, we will. Our race analysis tonight, 200 laps on the track that measures a little better than 0.6 of a mile. And the pit window number looks a little different than we might normally show you. That's not a fuel mileage number.
No, because as soon as they get to lap 80, they can pit and they won't pit again. They'll be in front when all the rest of the cars pit, and they'll try to get that track position to stay there.
So one more pace lap before we go green here at Indianapolis Raceway Park. Check that. They're showing them 2 to go here. Looks like they're going to add another lap before we go racing. Benny, this race has been going on since 1982, since the NASCAR Busch Series was formed. And the people in the Midwest here just turn out long before there was an XL Cup race over at the big track, if you will. These fans were showing up to see NASCAR racing here.
Well, we had crowds like this. We've been coming here 24 years. We've always had huge crowds here. And we've been going to the Brickyard, what now, 11 years now?
Yeah, this will be the 12th tomorrow, yeah.
So, and they're sitting in the grass.
Yep.
That's a common thing here at IRP.
Yep, throw a blanket up on the hillside. Those people were here when the gates opened earlier today to throw that blanket up on the hillside and reserve their space. A lot of people over at the big track for Bud Pole qualifying earlier today, making the drive up Crawfordsville Road and under I-465 to come out here tonight and see this race, sort of a little summer speed week, if you will, and the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series here last night. I think the thing I like best about this race, and I've been coming here for quite some time, the action is always intense. there's never been a snoozer here that I could recall.
No. Because there's going to be someone racing side by side around the racetrack. It may not be for the lead.
Yeah.
But there will be someone back there side by side. All right, here we go. Next time by, green flag, get in turn 1. Sorensen get those 5 bonus points that he wants so badly. Hornaday back in the 3rd position. There he is in the 32 car. That's Tracy Hines right behind him. Jason Killen, 35.
And the championship contenders just behind them. Boyer and Truex Jr. 200 laps around this .686 mile oval. Sorensen and Stremme, the fight for the lead into turn 1. Sorensen seems to believe he's going to get the corner. Let's see.
And Stremme was good to his word. He did give Sorensen room to go down in turn 1.
Look how tight these cars are.
5 bonus points for the championship for Reed Sorensen. That's Paul Menard in 11, digging down underneath Kenny Wallace.
Kenny Hamlin in the 20 car, trying to make his way forward.
Hamlin underneath Clint Boyer at 7th place.
And Truex back in the 8 car watching this battle. Kenny Hamlin makes that was very impressive, being able to pass on the bottom the way he did.
Yeah, Benny talked to Hamlin earlier just after he made his qualifying lap, and he really was excited about this race car.
Check out Truex, just dove on the inside of Boyer, could not make the pass. Wise, it just pulls back behind him.
Here's our race for 3rd.
See Tracy Hines in 6, gets by Hornaday in 32.
Jason Keller 35, right down on the flat. And he's going to pick up a spot from Robert Presley. That's going to be 5th. Keller's won this race twice before.
And you can see Denny Hamlin right along with him off turn 2. Lindsay, has he said anything about the 20 car yet?
He's being awfully quiet on the radio, but I was able to hop in the truck with both Denny and Martin Truex Jr. when they were going around for driver introduction. Denny was saying he just really wants that top 10 finish. Last week I got to talk to him at Gateway, and he said that's where he finished 11th. He just really wants that confidence factor, and he thinks this is a track where he can get it.
Well, so far so good, Lindsay, that's for sure.
David Green on the move down low.
And Ashton Lewis, the Marines, trying to charge to the front. Ashton on the inside. Paul Menard, the 11 car, and David Green, as you said, in the 27. A great battle.
It's 11th place there, BP. David's been on a really great roll.
He sure has. A great win for him in Colorado a couple weeks ago.
Followed that up with a top 5 finish last week in St. Louis after a really difficult first half of the season where he only got 1 top 10 for a guy that's a former series champion.
Aaron Fike in 66 and 25 of Ashton Lewis trying to get by. Couldn't quite make it. You can see just how difficult it is to get that grip on the bottom of the racetrack to drive up alongside the fellow on the outside. David Green has a very good race car, but he just can't find enough grip down there to make the pass.
And so he continues to run behind Menard in 12th place. Well, Stremme said that Sorensen could have the first quarter, and Sorensen said if he got up and was knocking on the back bumper, he'd let him go. Right now, he's not knocking on the bumper.
He can't catch the 41 car.
Here's the gap first to second. You see the 58 car of Reagan Smith heading for pit road. Early unscheduled stop for him.
Jason Keller 35, Ron Hornaday 32. Battle for the 4th position.
Keller looks good, huh?
He does. He really does look good. As you said, he runs this racetrack. Has always performed well here at IRP.
I talked to Jason today. Jason's had a really tough season. I mean, a really tough season. And I talked to him today. He had the biggest smile on his face. He said, I've been looking for a car that feels like this all year. And I got it tonight.
That was impressive. I even turned left down the middle of the corner and drove up on the inside of the 32, but he just can't get the traction that he needs without driving up and banging into the side of the 32 car. Ralph, some of these guys look like they're pretty good, and some of them are struggling with their setup.
Well, that's exactly right, Benny. And the common terminology we're hearing a lot of here tonight is tight in the center. Can't get the car to turn, and then I'm very loose coming off the corner. One of the trick terms that we're hearing now to fix that problem is something the pit crews are calling hillbilly. Now, what they want to do is get more spring rate on the left front as opposed to the right front. The more travel you have with the spring gives it is a term the crews are talking about tonight.
Well, Ralph, I must be a real hillbilly because that's a trick that I used many, many years ago to get my car to turn better in the middle, was put stronger left front spring in it. But that was before the aerodynamic days of cars that we see today.
You use the term hillbilly, it didn't involve banjo music.
How about Keller? Got the spot.
Yep. On the move, so Jason Keller to fourth. And your leader beginning to feel a little heat from behind as they deal with some lap traffic. Stremme closing in on Sorensen. So 15 laps at 200 in the books early in the going at Indianapolis Raceway Park. Reed Sorensen is the leader. You're watching NASCAR on TNT. NASCAR Busch Series racing from Indianapolis Raceway Park is brought to you by Smooth Busch Beer and easy drinking Busch Light. Busch, the proud sponsor of the NASCAR Busch Series. By Aqua Velva, keep your face toned and fit. There's something about an Aqua Velva man. And by Capital One, what's in your wallet? Beautiful night outside of Indianapolis, Indiana. Beautiful night for Reed Sorensen, last weekend's winner in the NASCAR Busch Series in St. Louis, out in front after winning the pole for tonight's race earlier this afternoon. There's the gap from Sorensen back to David Stremme.
0.8 of a second back to the 14 car. Both these cars at St. Louis, the last race, ran extremely well. Looks like the 14 might have a shot at winning. That flat tire. 41 took advantage with a win.
About a check on the championship leader, Martin Truex. He's in some pretty heavy traffic. He has been passed.
Oh, they're 3 wide in front of him. Oh, boy.
He got passed by Clint Boyer for 6th place. This in traffic a minute ago.
He gets in the back of the 46 car and had to jump out of the throttle quickly. And when you jump out of the throttle that quickly, it wants to upset the car. And he's lucky that the 2-car Clint Boyer didn't run in the back of it. Watch this. Oh, it's so close. Boyer was paying attention.
And yet able to take advantage and pick up a spot. So Boyer is up to 6. Truex is back to 7. And they have shuffled Ron Hornaday back to 8th place. He started in 3rd.
Tell you what, Boyer is running a much, of course he has to run at the lower line as he tries to pass the 46 car of Robert Presley. But he's making this lower line work pretty doggone well for him.
If you want to pass them, you got to go where they're not, right? Or you got to move them from where they are, one of the two. And we'll see that before the night's out tonight, too.
Jason Keller, 35 car, just gets by Tracy Hines, take with a 3rd spot.
It's been a while since Jason Keller's won. July 2003 at the Milwaukee Mile.
Lindsay, he's loving it, isn't he?
He's loving it. And you know what, Alan, you said earlier that when you talked to him, he had a huge smile on his face. That's because he described it to me before as funny. He said this is a backup car that we have had all season long. No one thought to bring it out because we had another car we came down here and tested with, but it was awful. It was terrible. So they got out the backup, and he was all smiles today.
Crew chief, for the guys that hang the bodies on those cars might not be all smiles because it looks like that right rear quarter panel's a little ripped up.
He's had some contact with someone back behind the right rear tire. That's for sure.
I'm loving it. You worked that in so smoothly.
He is. He's loving it.
How about Tony Stewart?
It's a James Dean car.
Started 17th. He's up to 14th. Ralph trying to make his way to the front.
Right now, Alan, Tony Stewart's a little quiet on the radio. The car is a little loose center off, which, Benny, as we were talking earlier, is a little bit different than what a lot of the guys are saying. Usually it's loose way out onto the exit. Tony's getting a little loose more to the center of the corner. That's usually where most of the guys are tight.
He might have tried too much hillbilly in that car, and that's too big a left front spring.
At the Kevin Harvick Incorporated entry that Tony Stewart is driving tonight. He drove for them earlier in this season. Reed Sorensen, the race leader, led all 31 laps so far, just completing lap 32. Beginning to work some pretty heavy lap traffic as well. He's put a full second on 2nd place running David Stremme. Indianapolis Raceway Park and NASCAR Busch Series racing on TNT. Reed Sorensen from the Atlanta area, star of the show so far. And our Wendy's race menu, we've got a lot of stars going to be featured tomorrow in the Allstate 400 at the Brickyard.
400 miles at the great Indianapolis Motor Speedway.
NBC 2 Eastern Time, our Wendy's race menu. Sorensen in some pretty heavy lap traffic.
Well, he is. As a matter of fact, this traffic that he's running through, the lap traffic that he's running behind, has allowed second place, third place, all these cars catch up.
Check the gap from Sorensen back to Stremme. Give you the picture of what is first back to second. There's Sorensen in the 41, and there is Stremme in the car with that big Navy logo across the hood, the 14. And Lindsay has an update on both the first and second place runners.
I do. Thanks, guys. You know, there were a lot of people coming up to Reed Sorensen right before the race saying happy anniversary. That's because this is the first Busch Series race here at IRP that Reed ran last year, a year ago. He started that race third, finished 13th. He's been exceptionally quiet here tonight, and his crew tells me when it's quiet, that's a good thing. That means that Reed is focused and he's thinking. As for David Stremme in the number 14 car, he got on the radio a little bit ago to his crew chief, Randy Cox, said he was feeling tight in the corners. And Stremme, of course, is a local guy. He's from about an hour away from here in Indiana. And so he said he has a lot of friends, a lot of family here, really hopes to do well. And I also want to add that these guys are getting a little bit concerned down here on pit road because it has started to sprinkle. In fact, we're right near a pond, and you can see the drops consistently coming down. So a lot of folks down here are looking and waiting and hoping that doesn't increase.
Yeah, that's not good.
We'll go on board with Denny Hamlin, the 20 car, and so far I don't see any raindrop. Whoop.
Yeah, I see a little bit over there, don't I?
Let's see if we can see on the left side of the Kenny Wallace car.
Well, obviously it's pretty wide. I mean, it's not enough to really cover the windshield, so the drivers are still steaming along here, and we stay under the green.
Oh, here we go now. Here we go. That's the leader, and that's the traffic.
First of all, I'm kind of surprised we haven't seen a caution yet, but when the leader comes up to start putting them on the guys a lap down, sometimes we see people force the issue.
That's when you see that lack of patience we talked about. We talked about patience. Well, this is lack of. And Brent Sherman in the 10 car, he and the 36 car, Stan Barrett, they do not want this 41 to get by them. That puts them a lap down and really takes any chance of a good finish out the window.
In the meantime, there's your leader sitting there wondering which lane's going to open up.
Man, Brian Patty has that 41 car working well, doesn't he?
Yeah. No surprise.
No. He and Reed Sorensen, since they teamed up, have been a very, very strong team. Brian Patty's the crew chief on 41.
Look at this. Clint Boyer on the move.
How's
this is
that?
for second place.
Man, he is marched by the Tracy Hines car, the Jason Kellen car, and now by the 14 of Stremme to take over second spot.
Clint Boyer started 8th.
And he's doing it by being able to run the bottom of the racetrack. It looks like he has by far the best car down low.
And that's the tough way around here. Clint Boyer picking up his first win in the NASCAR Busch Series back at Nashville Super Speedway. What, 2 months ago or so, back in June.
And look at this. Look how much distance he's put on Stremme just in this lap or so we've been watching him. Because Stremme can't run that bottom nearly as well as Boyer. And check it out, right behind the leader, Sorensen. Oh, contact.
Somebody say something about forcing the issue a little while ago?
For the lead, Boyer goes underneath the 41 car, and is he running down there all the time? I haven't seen him on top yet. He takes the lead. What a terrific run for Boyer.
1/4 distance, first lead change on the night as Clint Boyer eases by Reed Sorensen. They're still hung up behind the Brent Sherman car. Sherman trying to stay as the last car on the lead lap.
Now Stremme about to lose the third spot to Jason Keller. Stremme in 14, Keller in 35. But you see, I mean, all these cars are struggling on the bottom of the racetrack except the 2 of Boyer.
leader, Clint Boyer, gets by the lap car of Brent Sherman, well within his rights, by the way, to try and stay on the lead lap.
Here's the battle for the lead just a moment ago, right alongside with Clint Boyer. And Sorensen at 41 knew it was over. You know, he knew it was not much he could do.
Well, BP, our first caution's not for what we expected it to be.
Rain?
Yes, sir.
Oh, there I see the rain.
Yep.
Falling on some people's heads here in Indianapolis.
Just picked up. I just saw a rustle in the grandstands a minute ago of people reaching for the coats and the cover, and starter Kevin Moss reached for the yellow flag and put it out over the field. So first yellow of the race, lap 52 of 200. Clint Boyer is the leader. We will take a break and come back to Indianapolis Raceway Park in a minute. Back at Indianapolis Raceway Park as the rain has brought out the caution flag for the first time on the night.
And unbelievably to me, all the leaders pitted. Every car, I think, on the lead lap made a pit stop. Just 50 laps into the race.
We didn't expect to see anybody on pit road until we got a lot closer to halfway. Maybe the weather's changed their thinking. Maybe they're thinking we might not see a full 200 laps.
Well, that could be.
Clint Boyer holds the lead on the pit stops. And we will take you back and show you the stops that happened here just a minute ago.
To the right front tire changer. Having some trouble on that right front. Hey, Ralph, what happened on the right front? Do you know?
Well, Benny, with the 2 car on the right front, he said he got into Martin Truex just a little bit with that right front and affected that a little bit. But he says the car is sticking beautifully on the bottom all day long. They brought him in, put tires on him, put sticker tires on him, and got him back out. Now, as far as the 8 car Martin Truex goes, he's been battling that traditional problem, Benny, that we said at the beginning of the night they were going to have. Tight in the center, loose off. I don't know if they're working that hillbilly setup on that car just right now. They did make an air pressure adjustment on the 8 car, but they didn't say much more than that. Serviced the 8, got him back out.
And we see the front tire changer having trouble on the 8 car as well.
NASCAR is showing the black flag to Tony Stewart. His number's the one that's posted up on the board. We'll follow up on that in just a minute, figure out what's up there. First, how about the leader, the former leader, Reed Sorensen's pit stop, Lindsay?
Reed Sorensen is still being extremely quiet on the radio, but they brought his car in. They gave him 4 fresh tires, gave him some fuel. They made a slight chassis adjustment, but they feel like the car is doing exactly what they want it to right now, and he's hoping to get a win this time around.
So right now, Sorensen sitting in 5th position. Mark Green has not pitted under the caution, so he's the leader for the moment. And you caught a glimpse of Tony Stewart dropping down onto the pit lane to serve whatever penalty he has been assessed. So we'll follow up on that when we come back to Indianapolis Raceway Park. Stewart on pit road for a penalty. Mark Green the leader, followed by Clint Boyer. And that ugly wet stuff falling on a racetrack. It's a coming down here at Indianapolis Raceway Park, and the field is being slowed. They will be put under the red flag momentarily. Tony Stewart had a problem on his pit stop, and Ralph's going to tell us what happened.
Well, Alan, was a missing lug nut on the left front. That's what they caught Tony Stewart for, so that was the reason for the black flag. Just one missing lug nut on the left front.
But NASCAR rules, you got to have 20 of them. 5 on each wheel.
And it's going to drop Tony from 5th place down to 31st as the field gets ready to stop for the red flag. We will take a break. It's raining here at Indianapolis Raceway Park. Tonight's NASCAR Busch Series race with 59 of 200 laps complete. Back at Indianapolis Raceway Park with the red flag has just been issued over tonight's NASCAR Busch Series race. We remind you that tomorrow at 2 Eastern on NBC, the Allstate 400 at the Brickyard. Coverage beginning with Bank of America Countdown to Green. Elliott Sadler to lead the field to the green flag.
Yeah, they said when Elliott Sadler tested up at the Brickyard a couple of weeks ago that he was extremely fast. So the fact he's on the pole, not a shock.
Yep, and Sadler will have the top spot. Jeremy Mayfield, Michael Waltrip, Casey Kane, and Brian Vickers rounding out the top 5 starters.
See, now that guy understands it's raining. Those fans didn't seem to understand it was raining. They had no umbrellas. See, there you go.
They might not.
Folks, it's raining.
I was about to say they might not be allowed to bring him into the grandstands, but there's one.
Yep, smart guy.
I think those fans are probably a lot like me. I did not expect precipitation tonight. I mean, there's always the summertime chance of showers thing, but I didn't see this coming. The weather rock was not on display.
I understand.
Red flag, Ralph. What do you got?
Hi, Alan. This is the one job on TV I hate to do, the weatherman report. And we've all done it. Any of us have ever worked a race. Well, here's the radar screen in the back of the NASCAR bush hauler. There's Indianapolis and that target up top there. See what that is? Green. Green means wet, means rain, and we're right smack in the middle of it because IRP is pretty much not far from downtown Indianapolis. So kind of really hard to tell if this thing's getting better or worse. I can tell you the sky got real dark, real black, and it got real wet. So we're just going to have to ride this out for a little while and see if that big blob of green moves east, west, north, or south. I don't care which direction it goes as long as it's out of here.
Well, I feel so sorry for these fans. They come here all pumped up to see a great race, 200 laps within the Busch Series, and they leave wet.
Just over a quarter of it done, so it is not an official race, and this one will have to wait a while.
Our camera guys, they have rain gear on, so they're probably still getting wet. Guys, I'm sorry about that.
They've all been doing this for a while. They come prepared. Camera guys are like postmen. Neither rain nor snow nor gloom of night, that kind of thing.
Yes. See, we got a tent there, and it won't hold but about one more person.
Yep. And it's got to be aggravating for the drivers, too. You talked about these fans, but, you know, these drivers get all charged up to go for 200 laps, and they get a quarter distance into it, and right now they are sitting and having to wait it out. I know you do this long enough, you get used to it, and there's nothing you can do, but that doesn't make it any less frustrating.
See drivers.
Is that Mike Wallace?
Yep.
If that's Mike. Yeah, okay, we just got enough of a glimpse of it. That is Mike Wallace. Walking back with the team's public relations representative towards some place where they can seek shelter. The team transporters are not in the infield here at this racetrack because of the sight lines for the fans, so they can't go hide there.
So there is no place to go seek shelter.
Yet. Red flag for rain at Indianapolis Raceway Park in the Kroger 200. We'll come back with more live coverage on TNT in just a minute. Back at Indianapolis Raceway Park, looking ahead to tomorrow's All-State 400 at the Brickyard. The home 1-2-3 bubble drivers of the NASCAR Nextel Cup Series. Basically the guys hunting around that 10th spot in the race to the chase for the Nextel Cup.
6 more races before we cut off, and only 10 drivers will be eligible to compete for the NASCAR Nextel Cup. Dale Jarrett currently in 10th spot. Jeremy Mayfield Sadler in at 8th and 9th, but McMurray, Edwards,
and more
trying to ease their way somehow into the top 10.
Anybody from, I'd say, like 4th place Rusty Wallace all the way down to 15th place Jeff Gordon. They've got a shot.
With 6 races to go?
Yeah.
Sure they do.
Yep. And we look forward to tomorrow's race from the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. By the way, if you'd like more on the home 1-2-3 bubble drivers, log on to NASCAR.com for more information. Well, got the jet dryers going down the pit lane, got the cars out on the track doing their thing to finish drying the racing surface, and we should see the resumption of this race momentarily. The laps are counting. The red flag rescinded and the yellow flag back out, so we're up to lap 63 now. And the pit road obviously closed for safety reasons, so we won't know if anybody's going to try and execute their repair plan like we talked about until they get those jet dryers out of the way. While we wait the restart, let's take a break from Indianapolis Raceway Park. The NASCAR Busch Series on TNT. Mark Green leading Clint Boyer as we look forward to the restart. Back at Indianapolis Raceway Park, live NASCAR racing on TNT. An hour rain delay slowing tonight's NASCAR Busch Series race, but we're back under the yellow flag and closing in on the resumption of competition right now at lap 66 of 200. The caution for the rain was the first caution of the race, and so the first lucky dog tonight. And Brent Sherman gets the Ballpark Lucky Dog Award. First car not on the lead lap, so he gets his lap back.
So he fought and fought, trying to stay in the lead lap.
Yeah.
And wisely did that, because just before the caution flag, Clint Boyer passed him, but he was the next car, so he gets to go all the way around and make up that half lap.
And so Brent Sherman will be in 27th place. and the lucky dog at this point. Well, Mark Green in the 23 car was running 29th before the caution flag came out for rain. Did not pit when everybody else in the field did. We'll see if Mark stays out on track or if he comes down pit road and tries to take his fuel and just take his 5 bonus points for spending some time out front.
Kevin Moss, I thought, was giving the field 5 laps to go before Green. I'm not sure exactly. Looked like he was doing that.
Yeah, and you know, they often do that. They'll give them a signal and then wait the next lap around to see what kind of response they get from the drivers.
Lindsay, what about the 23? Did they have a plan?
They do, and they plan to pit right before Green. They're having some sort of issue, and actually they're planning it into their schedule that they might bring the car down twice. The first time for 4 tires, and then the second time for any additional adjustments, just so they don't lose serious track position.
Problem for them is pit road is still closed, so they have to wait to execute that plan. And there is the signal being shown from the starter stand. Potentially 4 more laps of caution before we get the green flag and the resumption of this race. We'll see what Mark Green does. Clint Boyer's team looking good also. Looking for the green flag shortly. Back at Indianapolis Raceway Park, and Mark Green has yielded the lead and come down pit road for a stop as we are just a couple of laps away from the restart. Some others following him in on the pit road as well, as you can see.
Lots of other cars coming on pit road making those adjustments. Lindsay, the 23 get their plan executed?
Yeah, they're working on it right now. Mark Green is in. They changed right side tires. They also, I think they changed left sides. I'm going to check on that, but they plan also to take fuel 1 round of track bar in the right rear. Hopefully, they're hoping they won't have to bring him in again, but we'll find out if they're still going to stick to that plan.
Well, we'll see if they're going to have time to bring him in again, because I think they're going to get the 1 to go signal right here.
Brent Sherman's about to lose the lap that he, and the 12 car is stalled on pit road. Paul Wolf.
No, that's Kaufman.
Yes,
Joel Kaufman.
This 40 car is Paul Wolf. Oh man.
Careful. Still got that pit road speeding thing, even though you stalled it. So lap loss there by Joel Kaufman. Local kid from LaGrange, Indiana.
Yes.
Now living in Mooresville, North Carolina, outside of Charlotte, where all the race teams are based for the most part.
There's a teammate of the 12 car of Kaufman, the 14 of Stremme.
All right, BP.
Here we go.
His truck is off. Finally. Out an unexpected rain shower. The fans come to their feet, most of whom are still where they were when that rain shower fell a while ago, and we are back underway at IRP.
Stremme trying to take the lead from the 2 of Boyer. There he is right on the inside. Oh, trying to get that grip. Not quite enough, but he's not going to give up.
Remember, all these cars made a pit stop going into the rain delay. They're curious how the track conditions have changed compared to theirs. Cars handling. Boyer and the 2 so good on the bottom of the racetrack in the opening run of the race. Now he's running up high.
And Stremme's running the low line, trying to get the grip to get by the 2. Can't quite make it.
Sorensen 3rd, Truex 4th. And the battle for the lead.
Oh,
there's that
baby.
slide job.
Almost making contact with the 2 car, but not quite. Great job by Stremme to stay off that 2 car. Look at him turn that car and drive up. Just can't get enough run.
One of the tough parts of this racetrack, the upper lane has more banking than the bottom lane. When you run in there on the bottom, you don't have as much track to lean on, and it's easy to slide up into that guy on the outside you're trying to race.
I think Stremme realizes he wants to get up and get those 5 bonus points for leading the lap. And after all, he wants to lead the race. And he realizes he needs to do it now because what we saw the earlier run, after 15, 20 laps, his 2-car becomes a rocket.
And right behind Stremme, starting to put some heat on. The driver who started on pole for tonight's race, Reed Sorensen, in the picture as well. And Truex closing in there too, BP.
Yes, he is, the 8-car. Lindsay, how about the 14? What's the deal? Why is he trying to take the lead so hard?
Because he is on a mission. They feel like this is the car they need to win this race. This is the same car that he had at Pikes Peak, also in Gateway. Last week at Gateway, he finished 22nd with it. But right before that long rain delay, they took 4 tires, gave him fuel, made a chassis adjustment. His true crew chief, Randy Cox, I just talked to him. He said, we feel really, really good. Look for us possibly to pit on 89, but of course we won't if our track position get up there.
See, this is what we saw earlier, though. For what, 10 or 15 laps?
Yep.
They overrun the 2-car, but then now he's slowly, just inches at a time, pulling away from the 14.
A little farther back in traffic. Remember, talked about Jason Keller in 35 running up there into the top 5 and then having a problem on his pit stop, falling back to 12. He's trying to pick his way through the traffic.
We're riding on board Denny Hamlin, the Rockwell automation.
It's a pretty good automotion up there too,
yeah.
Racing for a top 10 spot.
Tell you one thing, that left rear. Now he's got the left rear of the 35 car to match the right rear.
Yeah.
See the left rear, now watch as he goes by. Check out the right rear. Looks very similar.
Now looking at that fender, he's not loving that.
Tell you one thing, that would sure puncture a tire if you got up and rubbed against it.
I'm sure the officials have taken a good look at it. So that's Jason Keller moving into 10th place, and now working on the 46 of Robert Presley to try and pick up 9th. There's Kenny Wallace 22, David Green 27, and that's for 6th and 7th place. Ashton Lewis joining in the 25.
Oh boy, almost contact. Kenny better go because you're going to run into him if you don't.
Wow, look at Lewis right down there. All 4 wheels below the yellow line.
27 gets by Kenny Wallace, Ralph.
Yeah, Benny, they restarted this race running 8th. The car was pretty tight for David Green. They took 4 tires of fuel, made an air adjustment, and put 1 round of wedge into the left rear to try to help David Green get that car through the corners.
Looks like it's working pretty well, Ralph.
The view from Kenny Wallace looking ahead at David Green. And to Kenny's inside, Ashton Lewis still working him over. Both the Renzi team's cars, yes. Lewis and Jason Keller having good performances tonight, although they both had some hiccups on that pit stop. But the team as a whole struggling this season, and they seem to have hit on something for this place.
Well, Jason Keller talked about coming up here and testing, and I think that's probably what they hit on because they haven't been able to test it this year. This 25 car, 35 car was just born late. Yeah. I don't think they started this team until about December, January.
Yeah. Robert Presley slipping back as Denny Hamlin works to his inside, trying to pick up a spot.
Now, Presley in the 46 car talked about being so loose during the rain delay, just not able to get back on the throttle to drive off the corner. We thought maybe that this clean racetrack with the water, the rain washing off, might have helped this situation, but evidently not. All right, here we go. As Boy in the 2-car tries to go by Randy McDonald in 72, That allows the 14 to pull up right behind him. Look like Strimmy might be able to get alongside, but 2-car makes the pass on the lap car.
Well, interesting there. Now, we saw Boyer move down lower on the racetrack. Those couple corners, maybe searching to find, yeah, there he goes again.
Yeah.
Diving down low where his car worked so good in that first run of the race. Remember the first laps after the restart, he was running the high line, dealing with some traffic and dealing with Strenny challenging him, but now Boyer digging that bottom lane again. So Clint Boyer out in front, third different driver to lead tonight's NASCAR Busch Series race at Indianapolis Raceway Park. Coming up on halfway, lots of racing to go. You're watching NASCAR on TNT. Indianapolis Raceway Park as the leaders come up on the halfway point. Clint Boyer out in front of David Stremme. The top two beginning to close on the tail end of the field. It's a huge pack of traffic that's probably going to cause them some headaches and heartaches here in these next several circuits around. Let's take you through the field, at least the front runners of the race as we hit the midway point, starting with Ralph.
Well, Alan, our race leader, Clint Boyer, and his number 2 has been very happy with that car all night long. As you heard him talking earlier, he said he was able to take that car anywhere on the racetrack, anywhere he wanted to go, and the car was really working. But it was very fast on the bottom of the racetrack. They did pit just before the rain came out and just took tires. They made no adjustments on the number 2. Why would you? It's running very strong, Lindsay.
And just before the rain came out, David Stremme in the number 14 car also came down. We told you he took 4 tires and fuel. David has just gotten on the radio and said he wants a little bit of wedge taken out of the car on the next stop. Ralph?
I talked to crew chief Bono Mannion for Martin Truex.
Up trouble just in front of the leaders. Look out. Boyer snuck through. Paul Wolf in the 40 got turned around along with Boston Reed in that pack of cars. Leader Clint Boyer was trying to negotiate through.
We talked about patience.
Yep.
But you've got the leader bearing down on you. You've got to go. And if someone's holding you up, you just simply got to try to move them out of the way or whatever it takes to get by. There's Boston Reed, the 57 Lowe's car.
Hendrick Motorsports entry. Second caution of this race is out just past the halfway point.
And Paul Wolf has the 40 car going again as well. Left front tire is flat.
And he's going to drive all the way around on that. I hope he doesn't tear up the fender. Wolf's going to lose a lap while he was sitting sideways on the racetrack. He's got a lot more damage than just that left front tire flat, huh?
Yeah, the left rear quarter panel is knocked in against the tire. They have a hard time getting the jack under this car to change the left side tires. It's so low.
103 laps, Benny. Going to see any of these leaders pit and make their last stop of the race?
Well, we could.
I'm thinking somebody will, but I don't think a lot of the front runners are going to here. Certainly could be wrong, but I mean, they only pitted, what, lap 50, 53, and a lot of those laps between here and there were run under the caution flag.
See if we can see what happened to the 40 car. Here we see Boyer, the leader in the 2, and there we see Brent Sherman in the 10 gets into Boston Reed. They've checked up because of Paul Wolf in the 40 having spun and backed in the wall.
They get that right front fender on the 2 car a little bit. Did Sherman, when the 10 car spun, did he get that fender? Yeah, look at it. Is there some damage there?
Let's see. I guess he did. There seemed to be some contact between the 2.
Yeah, let's check this out.
All right, the 10 car turns sideways in front of him, and sure looks like, yes, there is contact between the 10 and 2. Ralph?
Well, that is definitely something they are talking about. In fact, it was the first thing that Clint Boyer said over the radio when they were talking about what they were going to do to the car during this pit stop. He said, make sure you check that right front fender. I need to know if this car is okay. So that is the first thing you're going to do. The crew's up on the wall. They'll be coming down pit lane here in just a second.
Ralph, it's unbelievable. All the cars are coming to you again. I thought they would change one pit stop tonight. Looks like they're going to make at least 2. Lindsay.
David Stremmy's car is in. He was told pit if the leader pits. That's exactly what they did. David had told Randy Cox's crew chief, I feel very, very snug in the center. I need a little bit of help. I want an air pressure adjustment made. Obviously, they're getting it done. Stremme is down and away. The 41 car had been toying on coming in also. Ralph, what do you have?
The 2 car is in. Kurt Boyer, they're checking that right front fender. They're also making a small air pressure adjustment, and they're going to go up half a round on the wedge to make this car turn a little bit better. And of course, this, he said, will be their last pit stop. Now, as far as the 8 car of Martin Truex, they're planning on just making an air pressure adjustment to the 8 car of Martin Truex. Pretty happy with the handling of that car. Just a small air pressure adjustment.
And Ralph, he's going to be tickled to death in the 8 car now because he has beat the 2 car off of pit road.
Under caution at Indianapolis Raceway Park. Got some guys who did not stop under the yellow who will take over the lead. That when we come back. Back as the green flag waves at IRP, Ashton Lewis in the 25 and Tyler Walker in the 38 did not pit under the caution. First off the pit lane of those who stopped, Martin Truex Jr. He's running 3rd in the 8. Then you get back to Clint Boyer, Reed Sorensen, Mike Wallace. Where is David Stremme? He's all the way back in 12th place. He was 2nd when he went down pit road.
Had all kinds of problems with the pit stop on the 14 car. We saw some long time changing left side tires on that 4-tire stop. All right, here we go. To the bottom of the racetrack goes Boyer, his favorite spot. On the inside of Tyler Walker. It takes him a few laps to get going though.
And up front for the lead, Martin Truex looking to the inside of Ashton Lewis.
Oh, and into the front he goes in the 8 car.
Pressure tires. So Truex, 5 championship bonus points right there. Now the race for 3rd place. Reed Sorensen, 41. Tyler Walker, 38.
Tyler Walker does not want to give up that 4th spot, but he finally does.
And again, older tires on that 38 car. He did not stop under this most recent caution flag. Jason Keller, Mike Wallace trying to follow through. Keller 35, Wallace 64.
Keller trying to get by Mike Wallace and Tyler Walker. Meanwhile, here's the 2 car. Clint Boyer's worked his way up to the 3rd spot. Ralph.
Well, Benny, he came in the leader of this race into that yellow flag pit stop scenario, but he went out in 3rd. Reason being, just what we talked about before we went back to green. They did a great job of drying the racing surface. However, for the drivers getting back in the car, it was very difficult for them to get their shoes completely dry. And as you pointed out, Benny, those metal gas and more importantly, brake pedals, when you're trying to get the car stopped on pit road, made it very slippery, very tricky. And just as he was coming to his pit box, Clint Boyer's foot slipped off the brake pedal. He slid deeper into the pit box than he wanted to, and that cost him time.
Wow. Well, he's trying to make the ground back up now, Ralph, working on Ashton Lewis here for 2nd place.
And he has plenty of time to get by and catch the 8 car Martin Truex.
What? He better hope his car is as fast as it was before if he wants to catch Truex, because he set sail on that 8 car.
Truex has a 2-second lead, a little over 2-second lead as Boyer finally gets by Ashton Lewis, goes into 2nd, and here comes the 41 car. Reed Sorensen goes into 3rd spot.
Talking about all these changes of positions on the pit stops, our Aaron's pit summary. Where they were and where they went. Of course, David Stremme The big struggle on that set of stops.
Man, that was a struggle. All right, let's see. The 2 cars clear of traffic. That last lap, he was a little over. He ran about the same speed as Clint Boyer that time. So, as a matter of fact, Reed Sorensen was faster than both of them.
First place car, driver 41.
Right along with Clint Boyer. Just a little bit, we're going to see the leader, Martin Truex Jr., going down in turn 1.
You know, Benny, it's amazing what a difference a year makes. A year ago, Clint Boyer was sharing a ride with Kevin Harvick, just running not even half the races on the season while Kevin did a lot of the super speedway driving and so on. And Clint's results weren't all that spectacular, and you wondered what was going to happen there. The young man was going to pan out as pressure-filled as this business is for results. But his team and his team owner, Richard Childress, never gave up on him. They told me, yeah, he's doing a great job. He's going to be good. And this year he got into the 2-car, a ride all of his own for a run at the championship. Boy, he's shown himself to be a fast and solid and consistent race driver.
Yeah, he is. You know, and when they made that announcement last year in Kansas that he was going to drive this 2-car this year and take over the AC Delco car, I mean, one of the best-known cars on the NASCAR Busch Series. He had his entire family from Kansas there. It was really a special moment.
Well, that's the gap from Martin Truex back to Clint Boyer. First to second, with Reed Sorensen a tight third. Now, what of David Stremme? Lindsay, what happened on that pit stop?
I talked to a member of David's crew, and they were all kind of beating themselves up because they said that pit stop was extremely slow for them. They had some lug nuts that fell off the wheel during the stop, obviously taking away a little bit of their time. So they're just fighting. They're fighting for any track position right now.
Man, that's tough. So you see David trying to pick his way up through the traffic there. And back in 10th place right now after falling to 13th from the long pit stop.
David Stremme, another race car driver. You see him driving this 14 car this year. And next year when he starts driving the 40 car for Ganassi and NASCAR Nextel Cup racing, when he starts running up front, you're going to say, well, how could this be?
Yeah.
He didn't win this, he didn't win that. As you can tell tonight, he is a quality race car driver.
A little wiggle wobble there when he went by Tyler Walker, but Stremme picks another one up. That's the 9th spot. Stewart had the penalty earlier for the missing lug nuts, fell back to 31st place. And Tony up to 18th place, doing what he has to do in traffic. We catch this from a couple laps ago.
There we see Tony Stewart, the 33, goes up, and the 46 gets in the back of the 12 car, and about that time, Tony bams in the back of the 46, and the world turns sideways, and everything worked out.
Yeah, that wasn't a chrome horn. That was just a traffic jam in front of him, huh?
That's right.
Yeah. Working on Stanton Barrett here. Yeah, that's a lot of ground to make up. And again, if Tony doesn't get moving in a hurry, he's going to have that leader, Martin Truex, coming up behind him before too long on this tight little racetrack.
Tell you what, Johnny Sauter in this 1 car who dominated this race last year is not running badly tonight. Falling right behind Tony Stewart.
Yeah, but you know, he's sure not running where he expected to.
No.
He expected to be up there knocking around that top 5 somewhere. And he's back in 19th right now. Heard from him during the rain delay. He said this is one of his, if not his very favorite racetrack.
Who said that?
Johnny Sauter.
Said that?
Yeah.
Lindsay, what's he saying now about this racetrack?
He's saying he's still a little bit tight through the center, but he thinks it's getting better with each lap. On their last stop, they brought him in, gave him 4 new tires, fuel, made an air pressure adjustment. They're just saying, go get her.
Tony Stewart being her.
Gonna have to hurry. Now the tough part of this place. Somebody's running that high line with the higher banking in the corner, and you have to try and dig around him on the bottom. Well, he made that look easy.
I think Tony let him look easy.
Yeah.
Ralph, how about Tony?
Well, he's a little loose right now, guys. They put one round of wedge in the right rear on the car, put 4 tires and fuel, but that 33 right now a little loose through these corners.
All right. Well, problem for Tony is may not get another crack at pit road between now and the checkered flag in this race. Martin Truex Jr., the driver with the most wins in the NASCAR Busch Series 2005, got 5 of them already. Looking to start counting them on the fingers of that other hand if he can pick another W tonight. NASCAR Busch Series racing from Indianapolis Raceway Park is brought to you by Home 123, the official mortgage company of NASCAR. Enter the Home 123 Pay Off Your Mortgage sweepstakes today at home123.com. By Ballpark Franks. Be big, be meaty, be frank. And by Allstate, proud sponsor of the Allstate 400 at the Brickyard. Third caution is out at Indianapolis Raceway Park for the 3-3 car.
Tony Stewart is trying to get on the inside of Boston Reed in 57. Makes contact, and Tony down through the mud, the water. Spins around right in front of the field almost. But luckily, no one ran into him. What if Tony got a bath inside that car as Stacy Compton goes by in 59.
Hey, he used to run the open wheel cars on the dirt. He's used to getting spattered by mud.
That's true. He's on board with Stacy Compton goes by.
And pit road is open. Tony Stewart's in. Kenny Wallace is in, but most of the front runners chose to stay on the racetrack and not stop with 63 laps to go. See from the missing logo on the side of that tire that Tony's got some issues there with the front end of his car.
And the 66 of Aaron Fike, I think, did make slight contact with Tony while he was sitting over there. And he had to come in and pull out the left front fender off his tire. But all's right with the world now.
So no change up front, and we'll check and see where Tony's going to restart in this thing, although obviously his chances for the win took a serious crimping there, even if they still existed after the penalty from earlier.
Well, that's right, because we have 29 cars on the lead lap. Tony last time by was shown 26th.
Well, not his night. Maybe tomorrow we'll be over at the Brickyard.
He would trade night for tomorrow, there's no doubt.
He'd trade a lot to win tomorrow.
Sure would. I read someplace where he said he would trade his Winston Cup trophy for a victory tomorrow at the Brickyard 400.
Said that after winning it to New Hampshire a couple of weeks back. 1 to go, signal at the start-finish line. We'll go back racing with 60 laps to go. In this one, reminds you to enter the Nextel Race to the Chase sweepstakes fueled by Sunoco. You could win a cool $250,000 and a cooler tanker of Sunoco fuel.
Not a tank, folks, a tanker.
Yeah.
About 9,000 gallons.
Race to Sunoco or Nextel for details. Martin Truex Jr. is the leader, Ralph.
Yeah, he's got a very good race car right now, Alan. They're trying to save their stuff for the end of this race. They feel the car is very good right now. That's what Martin says on the radio. And he's really hoping that the race will stay green. They don't want to pit anymore tonight. They do have one set of stickers left if they needed it. He asked his crew chief, Bono Mannion, can we win? Bono said, yeah. So they're pretty much leaving it up to Martin at this stage of the game.
That's a good man to leave it in the hands of these days.
He has proven to be an excellent man at that, yes. How about the driver? Car 8. That's Justin Labonte in the 44 car. He is the first car 1 lap down.
Yeah, Justin had a little problem on his last pit stop, not this past caution, but the one before that forced him to come back to pit road. believe he was missing a lug nut as well. And that was the cause for the return trip to the pit lane. A lot of heavy traffic starting to stack up for these leaders now.
You notice Trimmy trying to work his way back into this battle.
Carl Edwards in the middle of that mess. Here he comes in the 60.
Brandon Miller, 21, on the outside of Carl Edwards. And they're about 2-3 wide behind them.
That is a caution waiting to happen right there.
I'm telling you, just trying to find a place.
Tracy Hines in the 6 for Ray Evernham. Paul Menard in the 11. And Stanton Barrett in the 36. Stanton now not on the lead lap.
Tracy Hines giving that 6 car a great run. Mike Wallace finished second at St. Louis last week in that 6.
Yeah, and you know, Tracy, this is he's one of those open wheel guys, BP. A lot of laps on this racetrack in the USAC divisions, the sprints, the midgets, the Silver Crown cars. So when you're trying to adapt to a new form of racing, a Busch Series car, yeah, Tracy's been running the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series, so the radial tires and the NASCAR weighted racing vehicle not new to him, but you know, jump over to the Busch Series car, it drives differently than most trucks do.
Sure does. But this is the best we've seen Tracy Hines run in this NASCAR Busch Series. Is Strimmy currently shown in the 6th position, trying to get by Hamlin in 5th. So he could come back from that and win.
Yeah, he's obviously got a very good race car.
Boy, a gaggle of cars all around the racetrack. There we see Mark Green, who led the race some in the 23 car.
Now starting to talk about Carl Edwards before. Carl started 31st, Ralph. He's up to 9th.
It's been a busy night for Brad Parrish-Grucci for this number 60 in communication with Carl Edwards. And one of the things Brad told me about working with Carl Edwards is the fact that this is the first time Brad's had a driver underneath him that was younger than him. If you think about all the drivers that Brad has worked with over the years, they've all been older. He said this time, now when I talk to Carl, there is a different relationship there. He looks to me with a little bit more respect and a little bit more interest in what I have to say. Knowing the amount of knowledge I have gained over the years, he tends to pay more attention. So they've been working hard on getting the right setup. The last round of adjustments included going up 1 round, 1 and 4 tires of fuel. Still trying to dial that car in a little bit better.
Well, I'll tell you, for Brad, that says one of two things. It says that he has accomplished a lot in this business, that drivers are looking up to what he says with respect. The other thing is he's been around a while now. He's not as young as he used to be. And that'll get back to Brad, so that's why I said it.
Right. We saw him at Richmond when Carl Edwards won the race. He tried to do the cartwheel.
Yeah.
And you can tell he's been around a pretty good while. Tell you what, Truex, Clint Boyer, the 2 car, is not gaining on 8. As a matter of fact, the 8 car the last couple of laps has been faster than Clint Boyer. So the changes they've made to the 8 car has certainly worked, and Boyer hasn't gotten any better.
Thinking this, as we look at our Aqua Velva trivia question and a picture of Martin Truex Jr. leading this race. Of course, he is in the field for tomorrow's All-State 400 at the Brickyard. Who's the only driver to win at IRP and then race in the Brickyard the next day?
Now we'll just go back 1 car. He drove the 2 car here in the victory, didn't he? You drive the AC Delco car when he won the race, Kevin Harvick?
Yes, sir. That was the year that he started off the year campaigning for the NASCAR Busch Series Championship. And then Dale Earnhardt's untimely passing put Kevin in the unenviable position of doing the double duty that year and raced in the Brickyard the following day after winning here at IRP the night before. Another solid day. And it's the top 3 in the championship, running 1, 2, 3 in this race right now.
Hey, Lindsey, has Reed Sorensen got any chance of catching these two guys?
If you base it on his performance last week, I would say he does. This is the same car that Reed won with at Gateway last week. He finished in the top 5 also with this car at Pikes Peak. His crew chief, Brian Patty, just told me that, that this is it, that Reed is wide open now. He's telling him to go get him. Ralph?
Lindsey, talking about Martin Truex, I spoke with Dave Charpentier, one of the lead guys who works on this car with Martin, and he said this is quite possibly the most focused driver he has ever worked with, and that's a big statement coming from Dave Charpentier, who spent a lot of time working with Alan Kowicki. He said one of the things that he noticed about Martin that proved how focused he was, as many folks have heard, Martin was recently involved in contract negotiations with the folks at DEI. Well, we're talking about millions of dollars in the future of your career. While all of that was going on, Martin said, I don't want to know what's going on. You guys figured out I want to worry on the race car. And Alan, when you got millions of dollars on the line and your contract sitting there, well, that takes a lot of focus to think about the race car and not those dollar signs.
And Ralph, it also says he's very young.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, he had his best man in charge of doing those negotiations for him.
His dad.
Yeah. Dad, a very successful businessman in the seafood business up in New Jersey and the East Coast. Truex out in front looking for win number 6 of 2005. He's 43 laps away from the checkered flag at Indianapolis Raceway Park. Back at Indianapolis Raceway Park, the NASCAR Busch Series live on TNT. Thanks for staying up. Thanks for hanging with us through an hour rain delay from earlier on. Martin Truex certainly didn't let the weather slow him down. He is charging toward the checkered flag, and he and, more importantly, Benny, I think his pit crew received credit for our ExxonMobil command performance of the race.
Because they, on a pit stop, got him in front, and Clint Boyer has not been able to pass him. I think if Boyer had been in front, they would see the crew. I think if Boyer had been in front, I don't know the Truex would get by him either.
Stop coming at lap number 104, giving Truex that crucial track position advantage. He's trying to make the most of it right now. Truex, along with Reed Sorensen and Clint Boyer, have been the 3 drivers that have dominated this race. 166 laps have been run so far, and those numbers add up to 146. They've led all but 20. Mark Green and Ashton Lewis Jr. leading the remaining 20. Part of those under the caution during the track drying for rain.
Reed Sorensen, the 35 car, Jason Keller. This is a battle for the 3rd position, and a pretty good battle.
I tell you what, nice rally by Keller after that hiccup on the pit stop earlier where he fell back to 12th.
And also a great comeback by David Strimmy, who's right behind these two fellas.
Yeah. There he comes. Another good night for Denny Hamlin, too, in that 20 car for Joe Gibbs.
Oh, look at this, driving up on the outside, trying to get on the outside of 14.
Did some lap traffic. Randy McDonald in the 72. 3rd, 4th, 5th, and 6th, all running together here.
We've got Denny Hamlin in the 20 car right along with him now, currently running the 6th position. We also have Kevin Hamlin in the 4 car back at 31st. Denny Hamlin's from Virginia. Kevin Hamlin's from Washington or Oregon or someplace.
Washington, Snohomish, Washington, Seattle suburb. It's a good fight for 3rd here. Reed Sorensen, after kind of hanging with Boyer earlier in this race, not able to hang with him on this run. He's fallen back about 3 seconds from those guys, BP.
Yes.
But big picture championship, which Reed is very much thinking in my conversations with him in the last couple of weeks at the racetrack here. He's going to stay within sight of Truex and Boyer anyway tonight. He'll lose a little bit of ground, but really not a whole lot of points.
10 or 15 points, that's about all.
Yeah.
If he can finish where he's running.
Right.
But it's going to be some pretty close competition here in a moment between the 35 The 14. What's the 41 saying, Lindsay?
The 41 isn't really saying anything because, like I told you guys before, he's very, very quiet when he gets very focused. He's obviously doing well trying to gain that position. This is somebody that you see at every race here for Reed. This is Reed's father. I just asked him, you know, how have you seen that Reed has changed? And he told me that getting the chance to run with all these veterans and gaining their respect is the main thing that really impacts Reed. And he says running with guys like Martin Truex, Clint Boyer, Carl Edwards, all these great teams is really teaching him how to race. Guys.
Wow. Truex has got his work cut out for now. Trouble.
Tracy Hines. That's turn 4. Caution flags out. We were about to say that Martin Truex was getting into some heavy race traffic, but just as he caught the big pack of traffic, the pace car is going to pick him up and let that traffic go back around.
So it looks like the last 20 or 25 laps of this race, the track will be pretty clean in front of the leader, Martin Truex Jr.
That's tough for Tracy Hines. He was having a good night.
It sure is.
Just bragging on him a couple minutes ago.
Yeah.
Well, just 25 laps to go. Don't think we'll see any of the leaders pit here.
Don't see a lot of damage on the 6 car. Yeah. Well, the leader, pit road is not open yet, so we won't know who is going to pit. But I just can't imagine track position being what it is. I cannot imagine these cars up front pitting.
Now, got 26 cars on the lead lap. Maybe some of the guys toward the back of the lead lap will come in and throw in one more set of tires that they do have available to them. But there's no way Martin Truex is going to stop. Little wrinkle there just over the top of the tire.
And I'm not even sure he's going to pit.
Well, if I spun around and had to lock the brakes up, I might want a fresh set of tires.
See what happens.
Uh-oh.
Oh, wow. And around he goes. All right, here we go. Pit road is open.
And you're right, Hines didn't even stop. Carl Edwards is going to come in and pit. Ashton Lewis will stop. But as predicted, frontrunner Martin Truex Jr. and his closest pursuers stay on the racetrack. 23 laps to go. Back for what we hope is an exciting finish at IRP in a minute. Going racing with 20 laps to go in tonight's Kroger 200 at Indianapolis Raceway Park. Big crowd sitting through an hour rain delay, and now seeing if Martin Truex Jr. can hold off Clint Boyer to the checkers. Whoa, back in the pack.
Paul Menard tried to get on the outside of David Green, the 27. They made a little contact, and Menard goes up and hits the outside retaining wall on that 11.
I think that started in front of them, BP. It looked like Reed Sorensen spun his tires when he jumped on the gas and grabbed the gear, and the little accordion back might have contributed to that. That's tight. Denny Hamlin around Blake Feast. There you see Tracy Hines in the 6, who, by the way, did end up pitting under that caution.
That's because he was the last.
Oh, big trouble. Turn 2. Cars around in smoke. Tony Stewart has gone for the daily double. Got Tim Sauter around in the 56 car. Boston Reed in the 57. The 52 car, that's Doug Hulsel.
Tim Sauter got some pretty doggone good damage to the back of that car.
Yes, sir.
Oh, the left rear tire is gone. Man, someone must have knocked that tire off the rim.
Oh, and Carl Edwards got a piece of it.
Carl Edwards made a pit stop, running 9th, decided to come in and change tires on that caution flag. Why did he do that, Ralph? You know?
Well, Benny, the bigger story with the 60 actually is that he's not feeling all that well. He has already told the crew he wants a golf cart brought around so that as soon as this race is over, he wants out of here to get back and get himself situated and ready to go for tomorrow. They have been working on that car. They have taken a half round out of the right rear, and they put 4 tires of fuel on it. But right now the bigger issue with Carl Edwards, he's a little under the weather.
Well, he's got another issue. He's torn up the race car pretty badly, Ralph.
Yeah, going to need some work on that.
Right front tire looks to be flat. Let's see. See, the 56 car goes up and just runs in the back of Tony Stewart. And it's Carl Edwards that knocked the left rear tire off of Tim Sauter's car.
Hate to speculate, but as fast as Tim Sauter kind of ran in there, I wonder if his brake pedal wasn't as good as he was hoping for when he went off into there.
And we can see the heavy damage on the Carl Edwards automobile.
Yeah, if he wasn't feeling well before, he's not feeling any better right now.
Well, this is not good. Not done anything to help out that situation.
Tony Stewart fans hoping he's gotten all of his bad luck for the weekend out of the way tonight. Certainly not the kind of evening he was hoping for at a place where he gained a lot of national prominence in his ascendancy up the racing ranks.
What did we say? He'd won about 10 races here between midget, sprint, Silver Crown, and all that.
Well, I think the big key to a lot of that, of course, you know, they used to do the televised races from here, the USAC open wheel races that Jeff Gordon came to be nationally known from, and then Tony Stewart, and it's followed on to people like Casey Kane and Ryan Newman and so on. That really did a lot for the career of people like Tony.
Tell you what, I'll never forget watching Jeff Gordon go down the backstretch and run over that left rear tire in the midget, flying up through the air, come back down and never back off the gas. I was really impressed with Jeff Gordon.
Brandon Miller just took his car back behind the wall for Richard Childress Racing, so some damage suffered there by the 21. And they continue to work on the Carl Edwards car. We remind you to race to your mailbox and look for the blue Valpak envelope full of savings and your chance to win the coolest ride to school with Carl Edwards, courtesy of Office Depot. Valpak, there's something in it for you.
Alan, you picked a mighty poor time to run that, to read that promo. I mean, he looks like a very reckless driver now.
Yeah. Coolest ride to school, huh?
Yeah.
I think the car will be in a little bit better shape than that one is right now. And I can probably pretty much assure you he won't be driving as fast on that ride to school as he was tonight.
No, but Carl Edwards got down in the corner, had no place to go. Car spun around him and in front of him, and he ran into one of them.
Yep. Of course, the back end of a tough day. Carl in a crash earlier today out at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway, hit on his backup car in tomorrow's Allstate 400 at the Brickyard. Well, there are the top 3 in the championship standings. Truex, Boyer, and Sorensen running in that order on the racetrack now with 14 laps to go. Ralph?
Bono Mannion is the crew chief for our race leader, Martin Truex. All right, Bono, how's the car? How good a shape are you in?
We're in pretty good shape. You know, we figured there'd be a few cautions here at the end. As soon as we could make it on gas, we pitted. And still, car's really good. Clint's really good. Just lacking a little bit of forward bite on these old tires, but once they cool down, they're pretty good for 5-10 laps.
Aaron, the lap times that you're parking out to your driver seem like they're pretty close between him and Boyer. Does he have anything left to make it maybe just a little bit quicker?
I've been listening to Clint and those guys, and they got about the same problem we do. So I owe it to this pit crew. You know, you win and lose on pit road. You win and lose with your guys. And Shannon had a bad stop last week, and I just told him this one's for him if we get this. So still a long way to go. But whatever, it was a good pit stop. We came out with the lead. We did it last week. It didn't pay off, so we'll see what happens tonight.
With more on the story from the car that's running in second, here's Lindsay.
Reed Sorensen's crew chief, Brian Patty. Brian, I know Reed just got on the radio, said he lost a little bit of grip out there. Does he have something for him? Can he win this race?
It's going to be tough. 2 cars been tough all night. When the A car got out front, he's been real tough since. It's it's pretty much follow leader from here on out unless you hit somebody, and I don't think we're going to race like that. We're in good company, 35 behind us, and the 20 and the 14. I mean, it's been a good race for us.
How is the car?
Car's a little tight in the center, free off, which is, typical here. Just wish we could have got it freed up there that last pit stop a little bit more.
All right, thank you, Brian. Ralph.
Nope.
So I guess Ralph don't have anything to say.
They're trying to set up for him to talk to the crew chief of the 2 car, I believe, Ralph. He's still working on it. All right, well, we'll wait for Ralph to get there and get situated. Meantime, we're 1 lap away from the restart, so we're going to go racing with 11 laps to go. Wrapping up the 5th caution flag of the night.
And probably not the last one.
Well, I just think it's been a relatively clean race for here, BP.
But the checkered flag's in the air now.
I don't want to jinx it. But it's been a relatively clean race for here. And just to get back to what Kevin Mannion, Martin Truex's crew chief, was talking about, last week they had a lightning pit stop in the race at St. Louis. They went from like 4th to 1st, but 25 laps later had to come back in because a tire was loose. It wasn't tightened all the way, and it cost them the race and cost them a decent finish. They finished way back in the pack. Shannon Myers was the front tire changer on the car that Kevin was referring to there. And obviously they had another lightning pit stop tonight. This one, though, has gotten them the lead and worked out pretty well so far.
No loose lug nuts. All right, green flag. 11 laps to go. Oh, no, the 12th car is up there battling with the 2. That's going to slow him down a little bit. No, he gets by.
Joel Coughlin, his NASCAR Busch Series debut tonight in that 12 car. Tell you what, Boyer's going to have to get the whip out.
Sure is.
Because Truex got away nicely on that restart. There's Sorensen, 3rd place driver. A couple lap cars in front of him. Then the race for 4th. Keller and Stremme, 35 and 14.
And this is the battle between Tracy Hines and Kaufman for the first car 1 lap down back in 25th. So give it to Hines. Oh, some contact between Stremme at 14 and Keller at 35. Battle for 4th.
Stremme trying to move up and take it away. Keller trying to defend. And they're both now running the bumper of Reed Sorensen, the 3rd place car. That 6th car, Tracy Hines, after the spin, stopping to get some fresh tires. He's up there poking his nose around the 2nd place machine.
That's right. He is fast. Unfortunately, the 2 car of Clint Boyer has not been able to get up to speed once this green flag has come back out. The 8 car Truex has just pulled away from him. We're not seeing nearly the speed out of the 2 car we have seen all night.
So far,
flat tire, what's going on?
Yeah, so far Boyer not able to get up. Sorensen not able to get up and challenge Boyer for 2nd place. And we come down to 5 laps to go.
See a battle for the 7th position. David Green 27th, Bernard in 11th. Johnny Sauter in 1, and there we see Mike Wallace in 64.
Trouble, car on the wall, turn 4, Tyler Walker.
Man, what a day it's been for this team.
Yeah. Yeah, you can see the frustration there, chucking that steering wheel up onto the dashboard. That's too bad. Engine failure on their 2nd lap of qualifying earlier today, and the crew thrashed around to get that thing installed, rolled the car out onto the grid while they were singing the national anthem. That's how close they cut it to being able to get into the race. And for Tyler, his night comes to an end in a way he did not hope for. was pretty hard hit, too.
Looks like a lot of damage to that right front fender.
So we're going to have a little overtime, BP. A little tender walking away there, too.
Sure looks that way.
So despite the hour rain delay, going to be looking at a green-white-checkered finish to decide this one. We're inside of 10 laps to go, so there'll be no lap cars in the way. It'll be just those lead lap cars up the front in a single file restart. And Clint Boyer will have a clear traffic shot at Martin Truex, but I'll tell you, the way that 8 car's been running, he's going to have one shot at him.
I think that Boyer's biggest concern is not going to be the car in front, but the car behind him. What's Gil Martin saying about this 2-car round?
Well, let's find out. All right, Gil, one more time. Can your guy get him?
Our car hadn't been that good on the short runs tonight. AC Delco car's been pretty good tonight, but on the short runs, we just hadn't had it for him right here. These cautions at the end have kind of hurt us.
What's been the problem with the short runs? Why are you not so good there?
Probably we've been running a little bit low air pressure right there, and because the car's been coming in good late, and that's the only thing we can figure why it's not coming in good on the short runs. But I mean, he's done a good job tonight. We'll come out here with a good finish, and it'll be good.
To add to that, Alan, to make it even worse for the number 2 car, I just heard over the radio Martin Truex said to his crew chief Bono Mannion, "Yeah, I saved a little bit for the end. I figured it was go time," and he sure didn't move away.
Yeah, he's been gone, and he needs to do it again.
Great picture of Clint Boyer.
Yep. Reed Sorensen, 3rd place. Lindsay, what's he saying? What's going on there?
Still being really quiet, but I just wanted to tell you guys that, you know, even if they really do think they've got something for him, do not expect this team to celebrate prematurely. They are very superstitious. They don't even like you to talk about win. Don't talk about it until the checkers drop. That's what Brian Patty told me earlier when I saw him today. Guys.
Superstitious racer. Well, that's unusual.
Yeah, that's new, huh?
Oh, boy.
Yeah. You know what, this 8 car of Truex, they really did not start this season off in championship form, Benny. Yeah, they had the one win on the road course in Mexico City, but they weren't knocking off the kind of numbers that we were used to seeing from them. And then a couple of months ago, they got on a tear, and their last 6 finishes, the worst of them has been 7th place, and they've won 3 of those last 6 races.
And I asked Bono, Kevin Mannion, the crew chief, about that, and what caused that. He said, well, we ran so well last year, but we felt like we couldn't stay still. We had to make some changes on the cars to make them better. So okay, this will help. They made some changes to the race car they felt would make them better, and guess what? It made them worse.
Yeah.
So they finally just threw all that stuff aside and went back to where they were last year and started trying to refine on that. That's when they started running better.
And the other thing Martin Truex told me, the gentleman there in the center of the 3 on the picture, obviously the one in the light shirt is Kevin Mannion, the crew chief, but the other gentleman there, that's Dave Charpentier. Charpentier started the season as a crew chief for another effort, a part-time Nextel Cup Series effort, and then rejoined this DEI group where he had come from previously, a little over a year and change ago. And both Kevin Mannion and Martin Truex say that the rejoining of Dave Charpentier to that organization has really helped get their chassis and their aerodynamics program caught up and going too.
Very sharp fellow, Dave Charpentier. I agree that he would be an aid to any team.
Yeah. And by the way, just so you know that I am aware Truex finished 26th last week. I meant that all of his finishes have been 7th or better until last week's misstep and that late race pit stop problem I talked about that caused him to come back in for the unscheduled hiccup. Even then, he was leading the race at that point late in the day. So it's been going well. And of course, Truex to be in the All-State 400 at the Brickyard tomorrow, qualifying 17th fastest for his first trip to the Indianapolis Motor Speedway.
All right, signal is being given. 1 lap. We'll throw the green flag.
Remind you, NBC 2 Eastern time. We start with Bank of America Countdown to Green. A visit with Tony Stewart in his hometown. We'll talk to Rusty Wallace. We'll talk to Jeff Gordon. We'll talk to some of the other drivers who will be stories in the 12th NASCAR Nextel Cup Series race at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. All right, a little overtime. Green-white-checkered coming up.
We'll be given these cars will be given the green flag at lap 202, so we will hopefully complete 204 laps tonight.
Remember, one chance at the green-white-checkered. If the caution comes out before it has been completed, they don't take another whack at it. So this is it. The one shot at the overtime. Clint Boyer's one shot, perhaps, to steal the win away from Martin Truex.
All right, green flag. Boy, he just cannot get this car going until after run about 30, 40 laps. Now he has to watch the mirror to make sure he keep that 41 car of Sorensen behind him.
White flag, final lap tonight at IRP. Nobody able to mount a charge up front. Second place might be the closest challenge as we come to the finish, as Sorensen continues to try and work over Clint Boyer. But Martin Truex Jr., the defending series champion, is going to make it his 6th win of 2005. Truex to the checkers at IRP.
Great comeback for David Strimmy in 5th spot.
Well, last week, Ralph, the pit problem cost them a poor finish. This week, the pit crew got its revenge.
Well, Bono, as Alan Bestwick just mentioned, last week the pit crew and the pit stop cost you a win. This week it helped get you one. And by the way, in case you weren't scoring at home, this is the 100th win for DEI as a corporation in NASCAR competition. Congratulations. How's that make you feel?
Yeah, well, I think they jinxed us last week. They gave us the banner to take. And just an awesome feeling, you know, to get the win for Teresa and Dale. What Dale and Teresa built here, it's just awesome, you know, just an awesome place to work and a group of guys. And the question was, what's the attitude around the shop with the loose wheel last week? There was no attitude. It was pump the guy up, you know, pat him on the back, tell him we'll get him next week, and that's what we did.
Congratulations, go celebrate, make it a short night. You got to go racing again tomorrow.
Our winner tonight, Martin Truex Jr., presented by Reese's Big Cup. He'll have a big celebration tonight. I shouldn't say that. He probably won't have a very long celebration. He's got to race 400 miles at the Brickyard tomorrow.
He'll want to get out of this place as quickly as he can. Remember, in 2001, Kevin Harvick won this race, went across the street the next day and won the Brickyard 400.
Competed in the Brickyard.
But competed in.
Yeah, didn't win it until 2003.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. He didn't win it until 2003.
Well, quite a job tonight by Truex and company, leading 94 of the 200 laps en route to his 12th win in 72 career NASCAR Busch Series races. If my math is correct, and I'm sure you'll jump on me if it's not, that's 1 in 6.
That's not bad.
Kidding me? I'd take it.
Yeah.
And Truex becoming yet another winner here at this Indianapolis Raceway Park. The variety of winners over the years here. 24 races, 20 different winners now, with Truex adding his name to that roster.
It's pretty neat, acknowledging the fans here and what they put up with tonight.
Yeah, they hung around through the rain.
Yes, they did.
Very good. I talked with Martin on pit road just before he made his qualifying run tonight, Benny, and asked him about his day over at the Brickyard and actually hopping back and forth between this track and that in the helicopter, and he said, you know what? I've had a great time. Well, he's had an even better time now. Let's hear from our winner with Ralph.
Well, if he wasn't wet enough from the rain, he's soaked now from the victory celebration. Come here, Martin Truex. All right, he's got his crew chief in here with him. Congratulations on a hard-fought win here tonight, and also for getting the 100th victory for Dale Earnhardt Incorporated. That's got to make you feel pretty good. You said earlier on the radio this car was not good at all during practice qualifying today, but excellent during the race. What made the difference?
These guys, man, we got out front, we got clean airs, you know. It doesn't sound like a lot on a small track, but clean air is big. They made awesome adjustments. We done some stuff before qualifying that we knew was going to fix it or help fix it. We didn't know it was going to be that good, but that last pit stop, perfect air pressure adjustments, and it's awesome to get the 100th win for DEI. Just real proud of all these guys. They stick with it. I complain all day long about how bad my car is, and we come out and win the race. So just real proud of them.
And tomorrow you go for DEI victory 101 at the Brickyard 400. How do you feel knowing you're taking this momentum with you tomorrow?
Well, I just feel real fortunate to be in the position I'm in. We've got a pretty strong car over there, and I got to thank everybody at Bass Pro Shops for doing that, and everybody at DEI for sticking with me and giving me a good car for over there. So I'm excited. I got to run the Daytona 500, and I'm getting to run the Brickyard 400. It's been a pretty incredible season for us.
Last week you lost one just barely with a problem on pit road. Today you win one here tonight and extend that points lead. Is this another one of the signs that says this team's ready to repeat as champions?
Absolutely. We race week to week. We race to win every week, and last week was last week. So we're going to try to go win Watkins Glen next week, and before that we're going to celebrate a little tonight and hopefully have a good run tomorrow.
Take a little bit of this money, go buy a bigger umbrella, would you? Congratulations, best of luck tomorrow.
Hey, there we go. Somebody must have pulled a plug or something on us. We weren't trying to leave early, really, trust me. Showing you the results from tonight's race. BP, final thought?
Well, I was surprised those guys made a couple of pit stops. I thought they would try to do it on one, but the strategy worked well for Martin Truex Jr. They made that stop with about 100 laps to go, and he stayed out, and no one could pass him.
And the final finishers in tonight's 200-lap NASCAR Busch Series race here at IRP will be, there we go, Tyler Fuller and Hall. Now, we were trying to hear from Reed Sorensen a second ago. Lindsay?
Here we go. Reed Sorensen, what I was going to ask you is that you were so excited, and you said the car even surprised yourself that it was so good. So how do you feel about your third-place finish?
I was pretty happy with it. Clinton didn't look too happy with his second-place run, but I'm pretty happy where we ended up. Car, we fought it all day. We made so many changes on the car today in practice. It's a really good run for us. We got the discount tire scheme back on the car and had another good run in that. And Martin's hard to beat anywhere we go. And if you finish right behind him, you came close at least. But I think me and myself and Clint and Martin are going to have a good run down to the end, and hopefully we'll give it a good run for the money.
All right, Reed currently third place in points. Guys?
And we check the championship standings after tonight's race. Looking ahead to Watkins Glen next Saturday for the NASCAR Busch Series. 15-point gain for Martin Truex tonight.
Carl Edwards takes another step backwards. He's now 331 back. David Strimmy moves up one spot. Paul Menard hanging on that 10th spot.
So that's how it looks as the NASCAR Busch Series gets set to go run a road course for the second time this season, and that will be next weekend. That's been quite a night here at Indianapolis Raceway Park. Tough field of cars, big crowd, exciting race with the champion Martin Truex Jr. coming out on top. Sat through an hour's rain delay as well, but these fans never left. They stuck around until the checkered flag. All-State 400 at the Brickyard, NBC, 2 Eastern time tomorrow. We'll look for you then. Elliott Sadler is on the pole. For Benny Parsons, I'm Alan Bestwick. You've been watching NASCAR on TNT.